Hi everyone. So this is my prediction for season 4 Carnival of Chaos for Odd Nation Cartoons. So this is going to be one of those like non-scripted kind of podcast style videos. I do plan on releasing a lot more of these in the future because of the as a future project. So this is going to be kind of like the first one of these types of videos I'm doing in a while. But yeah, basically what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make my completely or like very nearly completely baseless assumptions about the elimination order of season 4. So keep in mind, I've seen the interviews for each of these characters and I've seen the trailers. So yeah, obviously I, along with basically everyone besides like the people behind the show, know very little about these characters. And I am simply just going to guess what the elimination order is based on my impressions of them and like how I think it's going to go. Obviously, most likely this is going to be completely wrong, and it'll be interesting to see which parts of it are right, which parts of it are wrong in the coming weeks when the show actually airs. Because obviously I'm showing this video like the day before it comes out because, you know, what better time to do it than then? All right, so without further ado, let's begin. So these are the teams. These are the teams that they have set up. This is the water team. This is the fire team. And then as I go through each person and why I eliminated them, I'll kind of explain why I think they're going to get eliminated, or like to the best of my ability, and like what kind of character they are. Anyway, here we go. So for 18th place, the first boot I think is going to be Benji. Benji is like that one guy who everyone hates in the D&D campaign, and they like want to kick him out, but they like begrudgingly keep him around for some reason. But yeah, anyway, I think he's going to be the first boot. He's like this wannabe con man, like it's like he's like Saul Goodman from the dollar store. Like I feel like he's just gonna really annoy his team and he's gonna get voted out. He seems like a pretty easy first boot based on his interview. Like it seems like he's just gonna like be overconfident, annoy his team, screw up the challenge, piss people off, get the majority of the votes at the elimination ceremony. Now, of course, like with literally all of these, it is possible that I'm totally wrong and he's going to have this super elaborate, deep character arc, and then that's going to be, But yeah, this is my prediction. I think he's going to get voted off first. Okay, so next in 17th, we have Natalia. Based on her interview, it seems like she's going to be she's like the LGBTQ PR manager, right? I feel like she's probably gonna like infantilize a bunch of the characters here that are, because like obviously a bunch of them are gonna be like bi or gay or whatever. I feel like she's gonna get on their nerves by like infantilizing them or like telling them about like certain things. Her character design also just doesn't look it doesn't look like as much forethought was put into her character design as much as the others. She just kind of looks like an early boot to me. But yeah, I feel like she is going to be. I think the first challenge she's going to make a decent impression, and then the next episode she's going to start like annoying people, and it's going to be kind of like an unexpected elimination. But I think it's going to happen. Because yeah, she's just going to be this like really pushy, like annoying person, and I think she's going to get eliminated because of that. All right. Next in 16th, we have Ted. Now this one, from what I understand, is actually pretty controversial because I think a lot of people like Ted. He seems like a red herring villain to me. I don't know why, he just does. Like Ted, he's like a gambling addict, right? And he's like, like big winner. That kind of seems like a recipe for disaster, which, to be fair, could mean that he actually goes really far because, a show like this, you want that kind of drama, I guess. But, like, I don't know, something about his design and his, like, cadence and mannerisms, like, in the interview and stuff, and also in the trailer, like, it seems like he's going to be an early boot. I feel like he's going to, again, like, piss people off, and then he's going to get booted for it. Yeah. So, yeah. All right. Next, in 15th, we have Amélie. So she was the French CEO of, like, the really big company. So, obviously, she doesn't need the money. But the thing is, we kind of already have this character archetype with people like Linda or Anastasia, so I don't really think we need someone like this around based on the interview. Again, like, it's possible that she's going to have a super deep character arc, like, we don't know, but, like, based on what I've seen, it seems like she's going to have, like, maybe a small arc about, like, opening up to, like, the human connection side of things, but I think she's still going to be a relatively early boot. Like, maybe she has something with, like, I don't know, like Tristan, or maybe she has something with Spencer that's, like, like, deducing calculations for how to make a business thrive. And then, there's going to be, like, a disagreement or something, and then she's going to get booted because, yeah, I feel like, I don't think she's going to be, like, the first boot, but I could see her being definitely a pre-merge boot. Yeah. Okay, so next I actually did a team swap. I know that was kind of sudden, so we'll go back. Decided, I feel like there's going to be a team swap mid-premerge, which would probably be around here. And I decided that I think that there's going to be, like, a team swap idol or whatever, or, like, something like that, where, like, somebody has some semblance of control over it, and I think Isabel is probably going to find it, because I know she's, like, a successful, like, TikTok influencer or whatever. So maybe she, like, goes around with her phone, and then she's like, oh, that's interesting. Here, I'll pick this up. And then she knows that she has to switch, and then she's like, oh, cross my heart and hope to die. Jesus be with me. Who do I swap with? And that's kind of tough, but I think that I think she'd probably want to switch to the other team because I don't know, I feel like there'd be, like, she'd be kind of, like, not, like, hated by her team, but, like, there'd be, like, conflict there. Like, I feel like there'd be, like, a disconnect. So she'd probably want to switch teams. And I decided that she would pick Hannah. And I'm not really sure why. I feel like just because maybe she views her as, like, the weak link on her team. But yeah, this is just my gut reaction, is that this is going to happen. Okay, we're moving on to the eliminations. I think next is going to be Tristan. So Tristan's going to be 14th. To me, they come across as, like, non-binary goth Gabby. Obviously, I'm sure there's going to be more to them than that. That's obviously a gross oversimplification, but that's kind of what this whole video is about. So yeah, I think Tristan is, again, not like a first or second boot, but I could definitely see them being a pre-merge boot. They seem just kind of, like, friendly and chill, and, like, I actually think Isabel might be on the chopping block with her new team after they lose the challenge, but then Tristan is, like, either unassuming or, like, too nice, and so, like, Isabel and maybe, like, Ivy, and then, like, gets people to vote Tristan off for being, like, not that useful in challenges or something, or maybe there's, like, who knows, like, it's kind of hard to tell, but I feel like Tristan probably would go somewhere around here, like, not the first boot, but not in the merge. Okay, 13th, yeah, the water team needs to lose, so they lost. And is Diego. I actually was gonna have Diego go earlier before. Like, I think I originally had Diego as, like, 16th, but I bumped him up a little bit because I feel like there is a small arc to be had with his, like, anti-social, like, avant-garde artiste kind of arc. Maybe he and Richard kind of clash, and then he sort of, like, learns to get along with people. Maybe he and Anastasia have, like, some conflict. Like, I feel like there's a lot of potential dynamics he would have with his team, so I feel like they wouldn't get rid of him super quickly. But at the end of the day, I feel like there's only so much you can do with this type of character, so I feel like he's gonna get booted after, like, going through some character development, but still ultimately fumbling something like the challenge or like, a character dynamic or something, and he's going to end up getting voted out like around here. That would be my guess. Okay, next is Richard. So Richard is like the just want to grill dad, with his husband and the daughter. In the interview he was talking about, he's saying, don't count out the elderly, and I mean he's not that old. I think he was like 60 or like 61 or something. He's not like senile, but like obviously he's above the average age here in this competition. And I think he'd like get along with people. But I think he might be a little too cloying. His judgment based on like how he raises his daughter might be like a positive thing for him at first, but it might like get in the way later in the game around here. I think again they might just kind of view him as like a weak link, like Anastasia, Marissa, Logan's like, he's nice, but he's like the team player kind of guy. So I think ultimately Richard will get pretty close to the merge, but I think he'll get booted around here. Okay, then in 11th we have the fire team losing again, and yeah, I think this is where Isabel's streak of luck runs out. Isabel seems like somebody that the show is going to focus a lot around. I don't know if that's just because of her like influencer thing or her personality or her character design, but it seems like somebody that would get a lot of focus, and because of that I think a lot of conflict is going to be centered around her, and I think she's going to kind of like navigate around that for a while, but eventually it's going to catch up to her. Like, Tristan kind of like unintentionally took a bullet for Isabel, but then, eventually like these five are going to be like, okay, enough is enough, like you gotta go. Yeah. So, I think that Isabel is somebody that they're going to make it seem like is going to go far or maybe even be a finalist, but then there's just going to be like kind of like an upset, and then Isabel is going to end up losing like around here. Okay, so after this, I have no idea when the merge is going to happen, but I just kind of went off of Disventure Camp All-Stars and said that there's going to be 10 people, so, yeah, and I'm not doing the returning cast member thing. I mean, maybe that's going to happen, I don't know, but I kind of just didn't feel like doing that, and, obviously I have no way of knowing whether it's going to happen or not. I decided might as well keep it simple and just kind of just stick to the team swap, and otherwise just kind of keep it like this, so... anyway, yeah, this is my merge cast. I will say that at this point it became a lot harder for me to decide who I thought was going to get eliminated and who was going to stay in. Because, team dynamics obviously aren't at play anymore. But I thought that Marissa was going to be the first one in the merge to get eliminated in 10th. She seems very, like, kind of like a combo of, like, Brick and Jasmine, maybe, or like that one character from Reality Resort, who I can't remember her name, but, like, very strong, very honorable, but still has, kind of like a soft inside. And I feel like that's going to catch up to her. Like, she's going to be viewed as a threat, and she's going to, like, be a really good team player for the challenges, but then she's going to mess up, like, the merge challenge. Like, I think she's going to not get immunity here. That's probably going to go to, like, Anastasia or something. And I think that she is going to get targeted by... It'll probably be a pretty close vote, because I think she's going to be well-liked, but I feel like it's just going to be, like, the more kind of villainous characters, Anastasia, Spencer, and then, maybe they can get, like, Jade and Hannah on board or something, and then, it'll get, like, 4 to 5 votes, and then, yeah, it'll be, like, kind of one of the more surprising ones, but, yeah, I think Marissa's going to go around here. Okay, next in 9th is Diego. I don't really know what to make of Diego. He seems like, he's like this nice safari guide guy. He mentioned being excited to, like, know a bunch of people from different backgrounds and cultures, which I guess kind of sets up that he's going to have, like, a variety of different dynamics with people. So I feel like because of that, it makes sense for him to make the merge, but I don't really think it makes sense for him to get into, like, the top 5, because he doesn't really seem like a particularly complex character. In and of himself. So I feel like, maybe he and Zayd would be friends. And I guess kind of similar to Marissa, I feel like he might kind of like screw things up a little bit, and he's going to end up getting booted because of it. Yeah, Diego's kind of like a question mark for me. I don't really know what to make of him, but if I had to guess, I would say he probably goes around here. Okay, next is Ivy. So I know that Hannah said that she was bi in her interview, and Ivy is kind of like this. What do you call it? Ivy's like maybe not like a Disney adult. Well, she's like a theater kid. Ivy is or a theater adult rather, and she's like, I'm here to prove that like theater in Hollywood doesn't make you evil. I want to be, she's the kind of like the quirky, awkward sort of person. But I'm sure there's going to be more to her, which is why I have her in 8th place. Like relatively high up in the rankings, because I think that she and Hannah might have like a relationship, or they're gonna have maybe like a friendship that is like misperceived as a relationship by other people, and then they kind of like talk to each other about their past experiences, and like I feel like it could go either way. I think there's going to be some sort of significant connection between Hannah and Ivy, and it could be a romantic relationship, or it could just be like a close friendship, but yeah, something along those lines. And I think that they will be close to each other, obviously, like in an alliance, and that's going to put a target on Ivy's back, because I think of the two, like Ivy is going to be probably the more intense one, and that's probably going to scare people because she and Hannah would be like a strong duo. So again, like I think Spencer, Anastasia, Jade, Linda, I think maybe like everyone except Hannah and like maybe Logan are going to vote for her, because I think she's just going to get too big for her britches. And yeah, that's going to make Hannah sad. And yeah, I think Ivy's going to go here. Okay, coming in 7th, I have Logan. So Logan, to me, is sort of like, not really a gag character, but he seems like more of like a side character. Like, he seems kind of like Ginger Wayne to me. Like, happy-go-lucky, not necessarily like dumb, but very like happy-go-lucky sports, like, team spirit kind of guy. And I think because of that, like, he's gonna make it to the merge, because like during the team phase, whenever his team loses, there's definitely gonna be someone more to blame than him, because he's like, seems like a decent player and he has like positive vibes and whatever. But I think in the merge, I think he's probably gonna get targeted by I could see, maybe I mentioned this a few times, I think Anastasia, Spencer, and Zayd might be in like a 3-person alliance. I think these two, who for the record I feel like are going to be the two main villains of the season, or antagonists, they're going to recruit Zayd and be like, oh, like you want to win this for your mom, you got to play dirty, you got to do this and that. And I feel like he would probably buy that. So like those 3 would be voting off the last couple people, and they would also be voting off Logan. And I think that Logan, I don't really have a specific reason. Like, I can't really think of a reason why he would, like, lose, but, like, I just don't think he would make it to the top 5. He would make it far, but I think he would ultimately get subdued by, like, the powers that be. So, yeah. Okay, coming in 6th place, I think Anastasia and Spencer, this is around the time where they're like, all right, there's 6 people left, we gotta start backstabbing each other because you're too good at the game, I don't want you here. And I think Anastasia seems very overconfident, obviously. Like, her whole thing is being this, like, ruthless model who is, like, both stunning and competent. But obviously, her ego seems like the most obvious thing to be her downfall. And, because she was the first character to be introduced, so I do think she'd make it decently far. She seems like the kind of character that would go far. And I'm not in the way that, like, they would subvert it and be like, oh, actually, she's, like, the second boot. I think she is legitimately going to be a major character in this season, but I don't see her being a finalist, because I feel like we already have so many, like, Heathers and Julias and Rias. Like, I don't think they're going to make her go to the finals, but I do think that they're going to do a lot with this character as, like, an antagonistic force. And ultimately, I think Zayd is going to be like, okay, enough is enough, and then Spencer's going to be like, yeah, I totally agree, let's get rid of Anastasia, and then they could easily get, like, Hannah on board for getting revenge for Ivy after Anastasia, like, is responsible for her elimination. Maybe Spencer is too, but he could, like, pin it on her. And, yeah. And also because Anastasia's not the only character. Like, there are characters like Linda and maybe Hannah who sort of have, like, some similar traits as, like, a powerful female competitor in, like, a certain way. I don't know. But, yeah, I feel like she gets 6th place. Then in 5th place, I have Zayd. Zayd's character arc, to me, it's similar to, like, DJ in the sense that he's, like, good at cooking and he's doing it for his mom and he's, like, a really, really nice guy. He also just seems like somebody who would be a fan favorite. I feel like a lot of people would want him to win, but I think that he would get the curse of 5th place because I feel like Spencer and Zayd would either still be in an alliance and therefore Zayd doesn't get immunity and maybe, like, Spencer or Hannah does, and then like these three, Linda, Hannah, and Jade, like, all kind of gang up on them, gang up on these two guys, and then he would get eliminated. Or Zayd would say, "I see through you. I know that you're just as guilty as Anastasia, so I'm not with you anymore," and he would still lose immunity, and then Spencer would be like, "Okay, cool, I'm gonna vote for you now then," and then he could probably get some other people on board because, like, Zayd would be like a fan favorite. He could use, like, the popularity argument because he's, like, a numbers guy. Yeah, I feel like he doesn't really have the stomach to make it to the end, but I think that he'll definitely be a pretty significant character and he'll make it very far. But yeah, I don't think he's going to win. All right. Coming in 4th place, we have Hannah. So Hannah, obviously, another character I think is going to be very significant in the season. She seems like somebody who's, like, sort of like a laid-back, like, party girl, but has maybe, like, hidden insecurities. That could just, I'm kind of guessing out of the blue here. There's nothing explicit about what I've seen of her that would suggest that, but I don't know. I think that she's going to have, like, a close bond with Ivy, be it platonic or romantic, and I think that she's going to, again, like, be kind of perceived as a threat, like, at the end. I think she's going to win a couple immunity challenges in the merge, and that's going to threaten, like, Spencer because, numbers guy, and that's going to threaten Linda, and maybe Jade. Like, I think she might just get voted off. Toward the end, I don't really think her character arc, what I imagine her character arc to be is something that doesn't really necessitate her winning. And because of that, I feel like she could definitely be a finalist. I could see it, but I feel like she'd probably get out around here, like, 4th, like, right before it. That would be my guess, obviously. So, yeah, I'm going to say Hannah has, like, a very extensive character arc and is a pretty complex character, but I don't think she's going to win. Okay, so that brings us to our final 3, which is Linda, Jade, and Spencer. So I'm going to get this right out of the way first, because out of the 3 of these, determining who I think would get 3rd is much easier than who I think is actually going to win. I think Spencer is going to get 3rd. I think he's not necessarily the main villain of the whole season, but I think he's going to be the antagonist that I think makes it the furthest. And I think, he's, like, high grades, like, smart, educated, like, numbers guy, and that's going to carry him throughout the season. And I think he's, like, not going to, like, he's smart enough to not be too overbearing or too threatening, and, like, kind of hang back when he needs to so that he doesn't get targeted by, like, Anastasia or whoever else. And so I think he's going to make it to the final 3. But at the end of the day, I don't think he got that dog in him to, like, win the final challenge or the final 2 challenges or whatever it is. I do think he's going to end up getting 3rd, especially because I have a feeling that Linda and Jade are kind of going to team up on him for at least a portion of the challenge. Because, again, he's, the villain. So, yeah, I think he's going to get 3rd. So that leads me to the final 2. And determining who I think was going to win between Linda and Jade was honestly pretty tough. I kind of went back and forth with this for a while because I could see both of them winning pretty easily. The reason I think Jade has a decent shot is because she seemed like the most mysterious character out of all of them to me. I thought that her interest in marine biology was really cool. I think her design is really cool. She seems like somebody that kind of, like, creeps up on you and, like, doesn't really seem like somebody who would make it to the finale, but, like, they could definitely write a lot of the I think that the possibilities with Jade seem to be endless for me. Like, she's the character that I think intrigues me the most. And because of that, I didn't really know. It could just be because I didn't really know where to put her, so I was just like, well, I guess she's just gonna make it to the end. But like, I don't know. I feel like Jade is like definitely like the underdog here. For some reason, I feel like she has a shot at making it to the final two. Obviously, I put her in the final two, and then the other one is Linda. So I'll admit I'm biased here because from what I've seen of Linda, she reminds me a lot of Nadine from Fargo. If you haven't seen Fargo, it's a show. I've actually only seen season 5, but basically it follows this like really badass mother who has to protect herself and her family from this like corrupt sheriff guy who like runs his town as if it's like the 1800s, and he essentially like kidnapped her when she was a child, and then she escaped, and then now he's like going after her, and it's like this whole thing. Anyway, really good season. Linda kind of gives me that same vibe of like this like badass mom figure, and I feel like out of all, like, there are other characters like Anastasia that kind of fit that like powerful blonde female archetype, but I feel like Linda is going to be more of like an sort of like an anti-hero, like somebody who's not villainous but is ruthless when she needs to be. And I think Odd Nation Cartoons is going to be like, well, we don't want a villain to win again because Rhea did that, and like, you know, I'm not, obviously I don't know how they feel about it, but got very mixed reception. You know, that was kind of a controversial thing. I don't think they're going to want to make a villain win twice in a row, but at the same time, I don't think they're going to want somebody like, I don't know, Hannah or Zayd, like a really good like heroic person to win either. I think they're going to want a kind of happy medium, which I think Linda and Jade both kind of fit into for different reasons. Like, Linda's going to be more of an anti-hero, and Jade's kind of be more of like a neutral-ish party, like morally speaking, but I think they both have a lot of potential to make it to the finale. So ultimately, I did decide that I think Linda was going to win. It was pretty close. I actually originally had Jade as the winner and Linda in second, but then I thought about it for a while, and I thought that at the end of the day, the final challenge is almost definitely going to be some sort of like physical, like either race or battle or, you know, something. And again, I feel like it just comes down to like who got that dog in her, and the answer to that question is Linda. Jade is like more of a wild card to me, but I think that Linda is going to see it through to the end, and she's going to win. So anyway, yeah, that is my prediction. I can't wait for literally everything I just said to be wrong, but yeah, this was pretty fun. I'm a musical individual. I'll see you for the next video.